All right, we're live. Katheryne, take it away.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. We're definitely going to cover some hot and relevant topics today. But before we do, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Katheryne Womack. I'm the principal consultant for WSI in Maryland. We are a full service digital marketing company. I'm a former active duty intelligence officer, a public speaker, Korean linguist, and believe it or not, NASCAR enthusiast. So that's a little bit about me. We'll talk more about WSI as we move through here. And most importantly, we will address SEO in the age of like AI being so prevalent. Uh, Justin, since you
Yes.
guys are stacked under me like this, take it away, my friend.
Hi, everybody. Some of you who have been in the previous ones know me. I'm the founder of Mercury Creative Group, and we are a brand strategy led organization that takes organizations through getting super clear on who it is that they help the most and how we can help them find more of them and market to them to help them self align and attract more and have the right conversations to have conversions and make sales. Meesha.
Hi, everyone. Much like Justin said, hello again for everyone that's been with us through this series. And thank you for anyone who's been with us through this whole entire series. My name is Meesha. I'm the founder of RedTree. We're a digital marketing agency. We specialize in websites. Our focus is to balance creativity and functionality to produce better outcomes and give our clients more confidence in their website to convey their brands, to understand their data, to basically just make a little bit of clarity in a very confusing space.
Mm-hmm.
So, Katheryne.
Thank you. And as a reminder, everybody, go to Justin for that branding, that messaging that you need to tighten up. Get those personas worked out, or client or customer avatars. Then go to Meesha once you understand who your target audiences are and get a really effective, because there's a difference between web design and web development. Get yourself a really effective, for SEO purposes, website that speaks to your target audience. And then your third step, have a conversation with me about driving traffic to that site now that you've got everything figured out. Who are you? Who do you serve? What do you do for the people that you serve? Where do you do it? And why are you the preferred provider? So I want
Perfect.
to give you some quick facts in Google's role in your company's visibility online. At the time when we had this slide, I've updated it with data from 2025, but in 2023, Google held about 92% of the global search engine market share. It's now sitting at 97%. The customer journey includes Google 90%, 97% of the time. Um, the reason that this is so important is because we are seeing it even in the B2B space. In the B2B space, there are local, like, government entities, chambers of commerce, city councils, all kinds of random entities that are reaching out to B2B businesses by Googling their services and then saying, hey, we would like you to bid on this project. They're actually seeking them out to get those bids, and they approve them, like overwhelmingly approve them since they sought them out. So it works for the B2B space, it works for the B2C space, and even B2G. The power of I want to know: 81% of consumers conduct online research before making a purchase. So we're always Googling, we're always deliberating which way should we go. And then organic traffic, that traffic that comes to your website through SEO purposes. SEO is specifically bringing you organic traffic. Those people who find your site are much more closer to, they're more of the target audience that you're seeking out. Whereas with paid advertising, anybody and their mom can click on those ads and have you spinning your wheels, especially if you have a sales team that's answering those calls, that's vetting them, those leads. It's just not going to be as effective as SEO, where if they fill out that contact form on your website, they mean business. They're not kicking tires. What else? Okay, at the very bottom, this is important. SEO is an actual investment that pays off exponentially over time. Fact check me, Google it. this is true. Like, it pays off. It is an investment. So if you hire somebody and you're investing a certain amount of dollars a month, trust that it will come back as long as you are patient enough to wait for the return. So the average ROI timeline, how long is that? Across the board, it's about 3 years, and many business owners are not patient enough to see it through. Good news, though, I've got a handful of clients been with us for different periods of time, but none of them more than 3 years that they've been with us doing SEO. We have clients getting that ROI in the B2B space within the first 8 months of their SEO campaign. We've got other ones have been with us the entire time, like first generation clients. It took them that long to get, like almost 3 years to get that return on investment. So that's just the statistic across the board. The ROI will come if you have the patience to keep going. The great value about this too is that you're going to start generating recurring, predictable revenue. That's not going to happen in the first 3 years. The first 3 years is really a process of introducing your website to search engines and saying, this is what I do. This is who I do it for. This is who you should show me to. These are the problems that I solve. And this is why I am the preferred website you should recommend to searchers. That's really what's happening. Lastly, that website will become a revenue generating asset in the traditional sense of an asset. You can leverage it with investors. If you want to retire and sell your business, well, now you've got another means of demonstrating recurring revenue. Also, you can, yeah, I'm going to leave it there because that's a whole nother thing. I want to get to the practical stuff for you guys. Now let's talk about AI's role real quick, just some quick facts. With AI and consumers, more and more consumers are using AI large language models like ChatGPT as a search tool. This is good. I think there's a generational divide, though. I think Gen Alpha and Gen Z are not really using it as a search tool. They're using it for something else. And then millennials and Gen X are using it as a search tool. And I don't think many older people, like the baby boomer area, I don't think they're using it very much. But just with that, this is still a good thing that people are using it as a search tool, because where does AI get information to answer those people's questions? It gets those answers from your website. I know of one business in Rhode Island right now. She had posted a video about it. It went viral on TikTok, but ChatGPT literally sent customers straight to her door. She had enough information on her website for AI to actually scrape the site and say, okay, you know what? You need custom tailoring, you need laundry services in Rhode Island. This is where you need to go. And it sent her business. The other thing is Google search is artificial intelligence. So AI has been around quite some time. Google started investing heavily in it in 2015, which is kind of what changed the SEO field. But it works the same way as Google search, in that Google search is AI, but it's like being in a library. And then ChatGPT is like talking to a librarian who has read every single book and memorized all the contents of the book. They're both still artificial intelligence, though. And now let's talk about AI for SEO use. You need to be careful. Here's the deal. Google makes its money on selling advertising space. That's how it makes money. And that's why it's very happy that 97% of consumers turn to Google search in their buying decisions. If Google permitted all of us to irresponsibly create AI generated content, like one and done, give me that AI stuff, I'm not going to edit it, let's just slap it onto the website. If it actually allowed that to happen, consumers would stop go I'm sorry, I'm having a tough time today. Consumers would no longer turn to Google to make their buying decision. And that means advertisers, knowing that consumers are not going there anymore, they would stop buying advertising space, aka Google Ads. So Google rolls out these intermittent updates. They're called core algorithm updates because Google is AI. And what is happening is that Google is seeking to reduce AI generated content every single month, every single quarter. It does not want AI generated content on there. And being that Google is AI, it can identify very easily if your content is purely AI generated. So use AI to structure or frame the written content and automatically tailor that content to your target audience. When you're creating a service page, the about page, whatever, you can do that. Same with blogs. You can use it to frame or structure the main points, but then you go in there and fill it out with your human words. It's very important. Never take the first draft as the final draft from ChatGPT. That is super important. The first draft from ChatGPT is always trash. I've worked extensively with ChatGPT, and now I can sniff out AI generated content from a mile away. It is so obvious. ChatGPT has its own way of speaking or writing to you, and just to never accept that first draft. And that should help you if you want to use it for SEO content creation stuff. By the way, we do have our 5th edition out now. This picture is our 4th edition, but if you follow that QR code, that will send you to our 5th edition. Hundreds of pages of easy, non-technical prompts to help you use AI effectively. It really is about the prompts and priming the ChatGPT or large language model in getting appropriate responses back. Like you can tell if you just say to Google or ChatGPT, hey, give me a top 10 things to do in this location. It'll give you a random top 10 things to do. But if you give it more insight, better prompts, it'll be more tailored to what you actually want to do or would want to do. And that's just a kind of wave top explanation. And we will not be sharing this again through this presentation. So hopefully you guys can get slides, but we're going to move on. Okay. This is SEO in action. So I'm giving you a look behind the scenes. What I want you to notice is we've got 2 different businesses based out of Baltimore. They are under the domain setting in the middle of the screen. If you look over to the right, you'll see authority score. When you are performing SEO, that is really what you're doing. You are raising your authority score. Google gives every single website an authority ranking, and that's 1 to 100. So I want you to recognize SEO does not start out as lead gen. Instead, it starts out as raising the trust that search engines have in your website. And if you can raise that trust because they are your online referral partners, you will keep looking to the right, organic traffic. You will get word of mouth referrals from AI. Charm City Cakes has an authority score of 37, and subsequently it's getting 15,000 visitors on average every month. Patisserie Poupon has an authority score of 28 and subsequently is getting organic traffic to the tune of 9,000 visitors or referrals a month. Now look at the organic keywords as well. Patisserie is only ranking for 1,700 and Charm City is ranking for 3,700. The way that you can rank for so many keywords like that is not through word stuffing, keyword stuffing your website nowadays. It's more about being consistent in messaging to search engines through everything you write on your website. Who are you? What do you do? Who can it show you to? Search engines will naturally slap keywords onto your website and start ranking you for them. That's going to happen naturally over time. One thing I want to say here is that even though SEO takes on average 3 years to get an ROI, it's generally one of the most cost-effective marketing campaigns you can take on, because it does take so long to take effect. So it's kind of like, if you got a lot of money to burn, maybe consider running some ads. But if you want to take it slow and steady, sort out your logistics, sort out how you're going to onboard your clients, go the SEO route. So on the upper right-hand side here, I don't remember what resource that is that we're sending it to you, but I think it has something to do with auditing your online presence or your SEO. But please download that. Okay. Nice. Website grader, that's the starting point. Okay. One little area I want to tell you about, it's not just about what's happening on your website. It's also about what are you doing across the online space. Guest blogging, or responding to things like helpareporterout.com. I think they rebranded, but getting your digital footprint expanded and pointing back to your website is a major area to focus on for many businesses who kind of want to do it themselves. So get into guest blogging, RSS feeds, whatever you can get your hands on. There's like Voyage Baltimore is an online magazine. Reach out to them, submit a guest article, and point back to your website. This will help you out quite a bit. It builds credibility. So this is something I wanted to just share with you. All of this is SEO. It's not just content. It's not just what the human eye can see. It's also what the search engines can see in the code. It's also about the speed of your website. That is a major trust factor for search engines. They don't want to send people to slow websites. So you're having to constantly go in and install some sort of plugin to increase the speed of your site. It's also about usability on different platforms. And what I mean by that is like your cell phone versus the tablet versus a big screen. Is your website rendering effectively on every single device? That's a major factor as well for SEO purposes. And then, of course, being very clear in the content you do write. What problem are you solving? Is it searchable? Like, you might be writing a nice article about something, but if nobody's going to search anything that you are talking about, your article is not going to get shown. So that's kind of what we already talked about. Okay, the structure is very important as well. So these, we mentioned it lightly, the title tags and meta descriptions, those are keyword rich. So that's where you can get a little bit keyword stuffy. But those are little snippets that can be shown, just little snippets when people are searching around that little paragraph that you happen to write. Be very mindful and intentional about the title tags, the meta descriptions, even the headings and subheadings. Those need to be searchable and keyword rich. Okay, here's the thing. Half of us in this virtual room have not claimed our Google Business Profile, which is crazy. I think it's actually 47%. When we take on SEO clients, we also take over their Google Business Profile, because the Google Business Profile, that's the most effective form of local SEO that you can do for your business. And it's free to claim. It's easy to interact with, yet half of us have not leveraged this. So it's nice that you have a service page on your website that is hyperlocal, but give yourself another opportunity to show up on page one, claim your Google Business Profile. That shows up on page one as well, the 3-pack, right? You see the top 3. So when anybody searches, you have 3 opportunities to show up. You have the advertising space, the website space, and the Google Business Profile space. Okay, we've got another resource for you, and we'll stop right here to take a couple questions if my friends Justin and Meesha have any.
Well, I always have a lot, but this is what how do we get to the top? Number one in Google, top of the Google listing.
How do you get to page one?
Yeah, I want to get there.
I get that question a lot, but I also get, how long is it going to take, right? How do I get there, and how long is it going to take? So if I had a nickel for every time somebody asked, I would be retired right now, laying on a beach. It would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you this. Your website can be on page one a near infinite amount of times for any given search term. So the full website itself doesn't necessarily go to page one, but maybe the home page does, the about page, the contact page, the service area page. And it depends on where you're starting from and the keywords that you're actually ranking for. So if it's something like you're trying to rank for plumber near me, if you are starting on page 100 of Google search, you are pushing up against established plumbing companies. You are pushing up against Google saying, notice me, trust me, and prefer me over your other plumbing companies. It can take quite some time. But if your competitors are not doing SEO, they just have older websites and they're showing up on page one, you could get there in a matter of probably, I don't know, like 5-6 months. So all that to say, there is no established timeline. It's a process of earning the trust of search engines. And everybody starts from a different spot in the race. We would have to look at your website, look at your competitors. We could probably get a closer answer, but I would tell you just be patient. Give yourself 1 year of consistent work, and you will be on page one for who knows what. I hope that helps, that even though there was no definitive answer.
Well, I think it ties back into the 3-year commitment, and you just saying really stick it out for a year. This goes back to old school print. Like, you don't run an ad once and hope you're gonna get new customers or new conversations. It takes time. So
it really
we
does.
had an early question. I'm gonna, Tanya, maybe you could bring it up. Let's see.
Oh, I had one. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm stepping over. So Charlotte from Pittsburgh, can you talk about people using applications like Cloud AI, which is pulling from public domains? We are seeing more use of this in the healthcare system. Same SEO effect?
I'm gonna need a little bit of clarification. Unless, do you guys understand what she's asking?
Yeah, I was a little bit confused as far as because I think the question was asked around the blog creation potentially, and that goes to somewhat of the generalization sort of cautions that you were talking about with AI. But yeah, that one's not 100% clear.
Well, that's Charlotte. If you can follow up with some more detail, we'll move on to the next question.
Yeah. Is there a chance? You know what?
Next one.
It's been crazy. What did you somebody
ahead,
asked a question and it switched.
Yeah.
There.
Oh. Is there a chance that AI could replace Google as a search engine?
Yeah, so with that, there's been a lot of back and forth efforts to collaborate and combine forces. I think there is a chance that it could replace Google, but I don't think Google's going to let it happen. I really don't. But what I do see happening within AI large language models, they're going to start selling advertising space. This is like late stage capitalism. They're going to start like running ads in our little AI dashboards. That's my prediction. And yeah, I do think there is a chance, but not a major chance, like not anytime soon.
Well, Katheryne, I don't know. Where are you with the Google's AI mode that just got released a few days ago that is supposed to completely squash all of chat?
Yeah. It's another effort. Yeah, it's another effort to avoid that risk, right? This is going to be a season of butting heads, all the major players butting heads, trying to one up each other with technology and win over the majority of consumers. That's all I'm going to say on that. This has been going on since 2023. Like, it's like an arms race. Good question. So Beth is asking if I am fully virtual, how to protect my home address. So if you're talking about your Google Business profile, I'm also virtual, 100%. My employees are across the United States as well. So being that we're virtual, the way that we protect our business is when we set up our Google Business profile, it has a little button next to it that says, hide my address. And that protects your address. And the search engine still has your address and will match you up with local searchers. I'm going to move on because we're almost done. And then we can take more questions or we can give you some time back. But here's what I want you to know as well, because I've had a lot of people ask me this question. They've said, can we hire you to get us to page 1 and then kind of get us at a nice little maintenance mode where we can just coast? No, it's an ongoing battle. There are new competitors every day. There are existing competitors who are starting to take their SEO seriously. And this is a process, a forever process of trying to send signals to search engines that you deserve to be at the front of the line when people are searching for the very service or product you provide. That is an ongoing relationship, just like with your in-person networking and referral partners. If you quit talking to them, they are going to forget about you. Instead, they will be sending referrals to the people who continue to nurture that relationship with them. So that is what you're doing in the online space with SEO. Okay, that's it for me. What else?
Happy to ask or answer any other questions. So throw them in chat, everyone. My one thought for you, just as you were going through, you talked about the framework for content. Can you just expand a little bit, like how to think differently about having AI give you a framework and then you fill in the content with, which is more genuine and authentic from you as the expert?
Oh, so what I really mean about AI giving you the framing or the structure of your article is having it almost act like a tutor and bring you back to the basics. That there should be an introduction space, right? And then it includes an introduction to what you're going to talk about in the body of the text. And then there's going to be a couple deep dives, and it's going to circle back all to the introduction thing. Like, it's going to be a nice little closed system, a cohesive message that you are trying to convey to your readers. Did I
Got
answer
it.
that for you?
Yes. Michelle, how do clients respond to SEO that it's a 3-year return on investment?
Yep. Good questions.
And
Good
two-folded.
questions. So one, the clients that I have did not balk at the 3 years. The clients that I have are a little more, I guess they've been around the block a few times, and so it's not a shock to them. Now, of the sales calls I take, a lot of the sales calls, people don't want that. They want me to provide them a magic bullet, something to get rich quick overnight. And that literally does not exist anywhere. Even in Google advertising, you need to be running your ads for at least 90 days before your stuff is optimized enough to start generating an ROI. And it's much more expensive. So my clients don't balk at it. But how do I keep them? So they experience the emotions, especially after the first year. But the cool part about how we do this is we communicate to them 5 times a month, which is exhausting, believe it or not. We send them little Loom videos and we show them behind the scenes. We show them their Google Search Console, their Google Analytics page, and we demystify what's happening for them. And we show them the data week over week, month over month, quarter over quarter, and what they see, because this is a science more than an art. What they actually see is growth in impressions and website visitors, like consistent growth. And that's enough to keep them going because they are seeing progress. Every single one of them, it's a science. And so that's how we end up keeping them as long as we do.
Maybe to think through it a little differently, what can they expect in 1 year? And I think you're starting to touch on that. If they were working with you for 1 year, how do those emotions change? You're educating them along the way. What would be success after year one?
Success after year one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they're starting to get a couple form fills. It does. Here's one thing I do want to clarify. SEO will not expedite your sales funnel,
Mm-hmm.
just so you know that. So if you have a long sales funnel, and I personally do, my sales funnel can be upwards of a year where people finally circle back with me. But just driving traffic to your website, you're hitting the first stage of your sales funnel. Those people will probably not be back for a year, so it can't expedite it. And what was the question again? Because my brain isn't working.
I think there was a 1 year and a three, or I think there was just a 3 year
Yeah.
question, and that is a long time. But I think what you were leading up to, and what I just want to reiterate, after year one, with all that educating, you're going to start feeling some momentum. You're going to see trends upward, so it gives you the confidence to go, yes, I can invest another year and start to see more momentum and more growth. And the goal is more conversations, more form fills. Let's go back to
Absolutely. More
Charlotte.
form fills, more phone calls, and that will grow too, by the way. It'll start growing and like exponentially on itself. So 1 month you might get one form fill. The following month, now you're getting 4 form fills. But every industry is also different. So, like I said, one of our clients got their ROI within the first 8 months, and the other one got it closer to the 3-year mark.
Sure.
And it was massive. It was an 85% return on investment, not $22. I'm bad at math, but it's not the 22 to 1. That's for sure. It paid for everything and kept money in his pocket.
Well, I think we could probably go on talking about quality connections as well that this work is doing. Let's jump to Charlotte. If we want to take our SEO serious, what should we be putting in our P&L budget for each of your service offerings? Are we talking all three of us, Charlotte? If that's, or
So she's asking how much does it cost to bring us on? That's hard to answer because I think we all have different levels. But out of
I can go, I think maybe high level to really think about all of us combined, and just, and if you're going to other agencies or marketing partners in general, like our combined services could cost you well over 6 figures in a year to do it right, and to get your house, get your brand house in order, moving that into your design communications and your website, and then moving into SEO optimization will take time. And that is, I like to tell clients, it's an 18-month investment to really get things where they need to be, where you start to see the trends upward, you start to see the success metrics that you identified with the client of what will they deem success and how do we get there. So seeing those trends moving upward. And for us, that initial investment isn't something you do every 10 years. This is something that you do initially, like every 7 to 10 years, but then your marketing, your design, your website, that ongoing SEO optimization, that comes in a much more of a monthly, it could be a retainer, or it could just be a monthly service agreement that you're working with us or other groups. And that can range all over the board based on your need, your client, what you're looking to achieve. So,
and I can add on to that too, a little bit of timeline. Like, how quickly do you need to see outcomes, Charlotte? So there's a difference if you're investing, and I'm just throwing out random numbers, $5,000 a month versus $50,000 a month, right? What kind of you're going to get different outcomes. That's a little bit different speed, so on and so forth. So I think that's another thing to take into consideration is, when do you need to start seeing outcomes? And that's another thing to take into consideration.
Yeah, and coming back to like the reason we put all this together is we want you to be smart and thoughtful and effective with all of your marketing services. And you have to start with identifying who is that one person that's in the center of your bullseye that you want more of, that brings you a lot of fun and joy in working with them, and you're solving their problems and you love solving their problems. And then moving out into your brand elements, your design, your website, and then optimizing. So we want the reason we did this is like strategy first. Think about who you want to help the most, and now how do we move out of that next ring and get more of them, and rinse and repeat. That's the scale to growth that we're looking to achieve by implementing all three of our services together.
And even as things change, everyone too. So Katheryne talked a lot about this, but even as the world of SEO has changed, and everyone almost has pretty much asked something about, is AI going to be taking over? Is it going to be challenging Google search? Like all this other stuff. At the end of the day, and Katheryne talked about this, like all of these companies are capitalistic and they're trying to target a specific user. So if you're thinking about going back to that first webinar that we had that Justin talked about, if you're thinking about that specific user, everything else is going to start falling in line. And that's the biggest thing is AI, large language models, Google, everything is trying to get connections to users. So if you think about your users more than you think about trying to make a sale or conversion or anything along those lines, you're going to be successful. And that's a loaded sort of statement, but as long as you're thinking about your audience, all of this technology is just going to change all the time.
Yeah, and think deeply about your audience, right? It's not just 35-year-old woman married with one kid. No, really think through what her life is like, her desires, her preferred methods of communication. How does the dynamic of having a kid interact with that? Like you got to go so much deeper than just age, race, sex, gender. You got to get deep with that.
Yeah, finding out what communities they hang out in, where are they, so you show up in the places that they hang out and that they trust, because when they start to see you more often, then they're building that credibility and trust with you. And um, uh, uh, the buying habit has changed incredibly. Where what Katheryne said in the very beginning, our buyers are super smart and they get to know us and get to understand us well before they pick up the phone or put in a contact form. When they're doing that, they're pretty close to saying yes or making a decision. So our job, and the reason we're doing this, is how do we set you all up for success so you get more of those conversations and you get more people to align with what it is that you provide, so that that decision from not knowing to yes happens much quicker and much easier. So,
which is a good plug for our last webinar in this
Correct.
4-part webinar series, where anyone who's still around, and I know we're over time, our goal for the last webinar series is to continue this last couple of minutes of conversation. How do these build on top of each other? How does it all come together? Bring in more of your questions. We do genuinely want the last one to be just as engaging in this last 8 minutes, but it's a panel discussion, right? So we're really hoping to answer some direct questions in that last webinar.
Yeah, and thanks to many of you on here, because I recognize some of the names, but in the previous webinars, we've gotten questions afterwards that they didn't ask, and there's also been some questions that we didn't answer, that we didn't get to, so we've accumulated them, and we'll probably start with some of those questions to get things rolling and to, like Meesha said, continue the conversation. We want to help you. We want to answer your questions, and ideally, we'd love to work with some of you too, right? That's why we're doing this. But we want to help you first and foremost. How can we get you to be more effective with your marketing communications?
Yeah.
And Tanya's just putting a link in there for our next webinar, which we also will be following up with. So, Katheryne, thank you.
Thank
you
you.
for running through all that information. And thank you to all of our guests. And we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good day.